You're listening to Mastcast, an SM podcast where your hosts, Candice and Rachael, explore the complexities of living with a rare chronic disease through personal experience, patient guest stories, caregiver perspectives, insights from specialists, and updates from the research and advocacy communities, with the purpose of bringing knowledge, connection, and hope to those affected with mastocytosis and related conditions. Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of Mastcast, an SM podcast. I am your host, Candice.
And I am your other host, Rachael.
Hi, Rachael.
Hi.
In this episode, we are going to talk caregivers, and specifically our caregivers, and talk to our caregivers about their perspective of living with someone with a mast cell disease. So we'll go around and introduce. Rachael, I'll have you introduce your partners first.
Sure. Or I could have them introduce themselves. I am polyamorous, so I have two partners, and they are both kind enough to join us today. You want to go first?
My name is Puck, and my pronouns are they, them.
And then my other partner.
My name is Adam. My pronouns are he, him.
And then mine.
Hi, I'm Denny, he, him.
Thanks, guys, for making this work. I know coordinating a bunch of folks on a Saturday morning before a major snow/ice storm is a challenge, so I really appreciate everybody taking the time. And I think that it really speaks already to the care and concern our partners approach living with someone with SM. And as usual, Rachael has been wonderful about putting together some really thoughtful questions that we'll go through to keep us semi on track. And we'll see if this is a one or two-parter episode, so stay tuned. Rachael, if you want to start with the first question, and we'll get the conversation going.
Well, I actually just thought that something interesting to discuss would be maybe we chat about real quick about how long we've been with each of our partners, because that kind of really changes the context of like what we've all, what we've been through together in those relationships. So for my partners, Puck and I have been together a little over 2 years, and Adam and I have been together for, is it 18 or 19? I'm losing track at this point.
We always round up.
It's 18.
It's 18, going on 19 years. So Adam and I started dating before I ever had a diagnosis, which I had about 15 or 16 years ago. And then what about you, Candice and Denny?
Denny and I have been together for almost 7 years. I was diagnosed 2.5 years ago, so he's been with me through that whole process, through the pandemic and all that weirdness, and navigating this with me. It's been, right, Denny, 6 years?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, honestly, it doesn't, because the pandemic did such a weird thing to time. It feels like we've been together for 12, 15, 20 years. I don't know.
Yeah, it does.
When you're together that much, you really pack a lot of time in. So I guess technically maybe 6 years, but it's more than that, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to the depth of our relationship, too. Just a lot of trust and mutual experience and all of that. It does feel like a much more mature relationship, I guess.
Yeah, and we did dive into the deep end because, like, I think, was it our second date we went on a road trip together?
Yeah.
Something like that?
And then a couple months in, we went to Denver together. I moved in with you for a month because my apartment flooded while we were in Denver and it had to be gutted. Yeah, so we did. It all kind of happened quickly, but it
It did. It was kind of a trial by fire, but luckily
Mhm.
we likes the heat, I guess,
Indeed.
Love that. I guess we could jump right in with the questions then. So I guess, and this is for everybody, what is the biggest challenge that you guys feel having a partner with mastocytosis? Like, what is the biggest challenge about having a partner with mastocytosis that you guys have experienced, or challenges?
I think the biggest challenge is it's like the helpless feeling of watching you navigate it sometimes and having symptoms and just the constant like reliving of like the hard parts of being like, oh yeah, I really wanted to do this and it turns out that it's just not accessible for me. And you fighting the feeling of like, this is my fault that it's not, or whatever, or being angry at others because there's so little information about it. And then, usually you and I redirect and find something else to do and still manage to have a good time, but it's, effort that you shouldn't have to put in. Things should be accessible.
Yeah, I feel we deal with that too. And just not just the reframing of the things that you want to do, but the constant nature of it, it affects everything that you do. And so it's a lot of effort where things used to seem effortless. And since it is such an, I don't want to say invisible disease because now we're dealing with the skin part too, but it can seem invisible, but it's like this thing that, you know, if someone doesn't understand, they just see you saying no to things. They see you not joining things, and so there's that side of things where you're having to manage the expectations of other people who don't understand.
Exactly.
And so I guess as partners, we try to take all that in whenever we're trying to help navigate the world.
Mhm.
I don't so I think all of those are the same thing that, the same thoughts that I have, but at the same time, it's for me, since I've seen the diagnosis and I've gone through, I grew up with Rachel and, before a lot of these symptoms arrive, it's hard to see, this disease slowly become more and more limiting to what you can do and what the symptoms change. But at the same time, it's like we do put in the effort to find the things that work. And for me, I find it really hard to see the things that we used to do together become things that we can't do together anymore. So it's that part challenging. But at the same time, I enjoy defending you and making sure that everyone understands that this is something that's new and it's completely out of your control. And whether it be friends or family, that they need to understand this is something that has changed, and we're gonna deal with it in any way that we can.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do wanna bring into the conversation at some point, that's a major way Denny supports me. When I had this idea, he was so excited about it and really willing to throw himself into figuring out how to make it happen, and that was awesome. It was
Yeah.
really nice to feel like I wasn't alone in it, and
Well,
and there was someone just as excited about it as I was.
acts of service is one of my love languages.
It is. My daily coffee in bed is a nice one.
My grandfather did that for my grandmother, and then my dad did that for my mom, and I'm telling they stayed together forever. I'm just saying.
Well,
It
you
is,
gotta
it's
you just
"I'll take
start the
tea,
day
please."
showing somebody that you love them. Just
mhm,
that's a nice
"I'll
way,
take tea, please."
especially when the especially when the world is on fire like it is, like, having these little touch points of, "You matter to me, I care about you," and I think it's important. It's kinda grounding in a way.
mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. So, after that lovely sentiment, I'll move on to the next question. Oh, so to switch it up a little bit, talking about some challenges, why don't we talk about what do you think is the it's interesting to say the best because obviously a chronic disease is challenging and there we talk a lot about our challenges, but what is the best part about having a partner with a mast cell disease? And since I'm asking Denny, I'll have you answer first.
Well, I would say it sort of forces someone to think about making healthier choices, and me being a partner that cares about you, like, I get some of that benefit and that I tend to want if we go out to dinner or something like that, we tend to eat better, less processed food, and, I mean, I'll be honest, I still eat total garbage, but I don't know, it kind of forces you to be thoughtful in ways that you maybe weren't before. I would say that's a good one.
Yeah, totally.
And Adam, what about you?
This might sound a little strange, but because of your sensitivity and reactions to chemicals and fragrances like that, I my sense of smell is still very, very bad, but I do realize that I smell things and I'm noticing more chemicals and fragrances in my day-to-day life, which is an odd benefit to this. But um, at the same time, there are other benefits as well. You having a mast cell disease and oftentimes being disabled and not being able to work means that we've been able to foster dogs, and that's been a really wonderful side outcome of being on disability and being staying home. It's like we're able to improve the lives of others, including dogs, at the same time. So
That's great.
it's another side benefit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was gonna say the fragrance thing is a big thing, and now I get the added benefit of, I already hated going into Bath and Body Works, and now there's, like, a legit reason. So, that's that's another, little bonus, I would say.
Yeah, Jen,
Yeah, it's been a big difference.
luckily for you, Denny, you're now probably forbidden from ever going in there. So,
Yeah.
it's probably a perk. And what about you, Puck? Are there any like best parts or silver linings?
I'll say I wasn't spending a lot of time in Sephora anyway before this, but so for me, as somebody who is also chronically ill and has been like since childhood, it was really I mean, it was a nice eye-opening experience. Rachel and I talk about it like having somebody to understand and also help, you've definitely set the bar high for advocating for yourself. And so I advocate for myself more now. And I used to call it this goose chase that I would go on every several years. And it was like trying to figure out what all my symptoms were, which is probably relatable.
Mm.
And it would always get really tiring doing it on myself, just keeping up with doctor's appointments and trying to tell myself, like, these are real things that I need to
Mm.
address, and having Rachel like be my cheerleader or my reminder, or just like helping me not gaslight myself. Um like that experience when I'm having hard days, a lot of times we trade off. Like it just so happens that I'll have a hard day on a different day than Rachel does. And
Mhm.
the empathy that we both have because we suffer from more or less invisible chronic illnesses is the best part about it. It's really
Mhm.
the silver lining, and it's made a big difference in my life.
Yeah, I think the help with the seeing you and helping keep track and also reminding you that, hey, how you're feeling is real. You don't have to tell yourself otherwise when you've conditioned yourself to do that for so long is really it's more helpful than I can say. Denny has been that for me through this whole process. Anytime I'm like, "Oh, it's not that bad," or if I wanna downplay something to a doctor or maybe not sometimes I kind of forget how hard some things have been because you just wanna wipe it from your memory, but he keeps me honest that way, and he also keeps me grounded that way and doesn't let me lie to myself about what I'm experiencing or how I'm handling things, and he always comes at it with so much compassion, which is really helpful, and it does really matter. I hope I do the same. So Denny is also chronically ill, which has been an interesting complication.
I'll say.
I really felt like one chronic cancer in a household was enough. Apparently not.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be
Copycat.
honest, like, yeah, it
I'm
the
joking. Sorry.
I had never even heard
That's what I told him.
until, her recent diagnosis, like, chronic cancer. I didn't know what that meant. I just, thought that cancer was cancer, you know what I mean? Obviously, well, every cancer is literally a different disease. They're kind of only, related. We throw them all under this one umbrella of cancer, but they're all different. But, yeah, I was recently diagnosed with follicular lymphoma, and that is a chronic, slow-growing cancer. I actually just had my second PET scan yesterday, um, and so it's in the wait and watch stage instead of, going full on into treatment. So we'll see what the results of this one are, and then I may still be in wait and watch or watch and wait, or I may go into treatment. We'll see. It's not curable at this point. There are treatments, and they tend to be good at putting it in remission, but it's a disease that just tends to come back, and you have to keep, going into treatment for it. There are exciting, and I promise this will be short. This is not a follicular lymphoma podcast, but it does affect our dynamic and the way that
Yeah.
we go through things. But yeah, so there are treatments. Unfortunately, I didn't qualify for like the newest
Clinical trial.
trial because I had been on a medication for arthritis, and, I've been having all this joint pain and that sort of thing, so I was on this drug, and then comes back that you can't if you've had this drug within 2 years, you can't join the trial. So, I'll be
Bummer.
on the standard of care if I go on trial, or if I go, on treatment, it'll be the standard of care, and then hopefully, once going into remission after a couple of years, I can take one of these newer courses of treatment. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's helped me to see kind of, Candice, what you went through in the beginning. just this mystery of I feel bad.
Mhm.
I don't know what's going on. And then the goose chase of trying to get a diagnosis
Mhm.
and feeling crazy,
Mhm.
uh, and then I don't want to speak to your experience, but like the relief, it's bizarre to have relief when you get a cancer diagnosis,
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I am now. It's a recent diagnosis for me, but I've been feeling tired for a long time,
Mhm.
major horrible fatigue, and well, now I know why I have cancer.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Yeah,
hooray!
going through the diagnostic process with you and seeing the parallels in your experience and really it's interesting, Denny's always been very empathetic and very kind and very understanding of me, but obviously when you live it, it's a different thing. And so, he could watch what I was going through and intellectually understand it, and I'm sure even emotionally connect with it. It's kinda hard not to when it's your partner, but, like, there are these other pieces that are hard to explain to someone who hasn't dealt with it that he now understands in a very real way that broadens our ability to understand each other and, like, what we're going through.
Yeah, I will say I was very lucky and privileged. I will say in that early on, my doctors, they did go through the bit of, well, it could be depression, it could be this, but they quickly accepted that this is something physical and it's something real. And I think a lot of times women don't have it that easy. So, you know, maybe it could be because I'm male or, maybe my doctor was just good. I don't know, but I was fortunate in that it didn't take long to get to that point of this is something serious. We need to do more testing.
That actually, I don't hope no one gets upset that I'm just jumping around on the questions, but one of our questions was how do you navigate both having medical challenges to face? And since that's kind of like come up naturally, if you guys want to speak more to that,
Well, I think we
please.
can all kinda speak to it, right? Puck, I would love to hear a little bit of your experience because it sounds like you went through a long diagnostic process, and I'm curious
Yeah.
Similar.
So I likely have the trifecta of I have Ehlers-Danlos, and I would say that's my primary diagnosis, or that's my biggest hurdle for me, my joints, and that got worse after getting COVID. It's now been 5 times despite, masks and trying not to. And that exacerbated my Ehlers-Danlos, but I also have POTS and suspect to have MCAS, but that's so hard to get a diagnosis for. So um,
Mhm.
we're still on that one, but, um, I think I think we it's a hard thing to navigate, but also brings us closer. Um, Having somebody else to talk about, the immense amount of medications or doctors, and it's so funny, small story, I recently forgot my medication when I went up to Rachel's house. I thought I brought it, but I brought the empty container because I do 2
Mm.
weeks at a time and not the full container. And
We both have a lot of
5
ADHD.
it turns out 5 of our medications either do currently or have overlapped in the past. So I had, at least half my meds at Rachel's house, because she either was taking them or had already taken them.
Mhm.
So that's how much, some of our symptoms overlap too. I'd say it's the hardest when we're both having, a bad day, a bad symptom
Mhm.
day. So for Rachel, that looks differently than it does for me. And a lot of times our symptoms don't overlap, thankfully. Like Rachel will have a lot more of the brain symptoms, like brain fog or fatigue or something. And while I have more like body symptoms where I have to use like my wheelchair or my cane. And
Mhm.
that helps us at least navigate, like, if Rachel's not up for going up to speak to somebody, especially if they're wearing fragrances or something, then I can do that. And if I'm not up for, lifting things or whatever, Rachel can still usually do that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So navigating it a lot of times is just a day-to-day negotiation, with
Mhm.
each other and also with our own bodies and with our own illnesses.
Yeah, that's super relatable. What were you gonna say, Rachel?
I gotta be honest, I'm having some brain fog today, and like this is like the third time I went to go say something, and I was like, "What?
What
What the
was
hell
I
was I
gonna
gonna say?" Oh no, I would think it was that there's also like more to it than that. I think that there's so much internalized ableism, like for
Mm.
everybody living in this
Mhm. Mhm.
society,
Mhm.
and I think that um, and I think this goes for everybody, but I do, in speaking with other patients and people who have health issues and whatever, I tend to find this it like is even more like predominant or more, what's the word I'm looking for? It happens more often in like people who are assigned
What?
female at birth.
Mm-hmm.
This like the, we were talking about gaslighting a little bit, but that's like the I'm being lazy thing, or I'm
Yeah.
not trying hard enough. And I think that happens to everybody, but I think it's like this,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I hear from some certain folks, and they tend to be people who are assigned female at birth, like just like a much deeper level of like I'm just being lazy. I'm not trying hard enough. And I know that's something that I've personally struggled with. And I think that there's definitely plenty of days where I will ask the other person, be like, can you just remind me that I'm not being lazy?
Mm.
That kind of thing. Or like, just because we're resting or we're having a bad day and like getting up and doing the thing or running the errand or lifting the thing, like depending on, the context or whatever, is just really challenging and not worth the energy it's going to take because it's
Yeah.
10 times what it would be on a different day. And
There's also the question of like, do you actually have the spoons for this today?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, if I'm having a hard body day, being like, you should wear your braces, or me being like, you should wear your mask, and not like telling you what to do, but being that like supportive, like, you're not worse than you think you are, like
Mm-hmm.
you should take care and, you know, take whatever accommodations you need, or like ask for whatever accommodations you need. So I think like a lot of it is encouraging. It can get frustrating to have somebody sometimes be like, yeah, I know you want to do that, but I really don't think that it's a great idea.
And, like, if I decided to go for it, you'd be cool with it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
also, you're usually, like, I mean, I say that to you sometimes too, and, like, honestly, neither one of us is we're usually it's from a place of love and also
Of
being
course.
generally
Yeah.
right about those things, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just like, I'm like, "I can go do the thing," and they're like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Well, absolutely not. Of course I can't go do that, but I'm gonna do it anyway." Like,
Yeah.
like, obviously, I'm gonna get sick from it. But,
Well, it's
like,
interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
respecting each other's choices around that stuff too is another part
Yeah,
of
I
it.
do
To
find
me is
that
important.
sometimes, it's that balance as a caregiver. You want to, obviously, you're validating that their disease is real, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there are times when I'm like, do you think you'll feel better after we do this thing? Like, if you're on the border of like not doing something or doing something, trying to, because I know with me with my cancer, if I do sit around, I will fall asleep. And so the guidance is to just get up and move.
Mm-hmm.
So like I try to be very much like, I do you think you'll feel better after doing this? Because sometimes that can help you to do something that you might not feel inclined to.
Mm-hmm.
But then also respecting that if she's like, no, I do not want to do this, then absolutely, you're the boss of you. So
Mm-hmm.
I just want to support and then try to maybe sometimes annoyingly be the little nudge to help, get out, get up and do things just like I need that nudge like a lot. So
Yeah, especially when it comes to like community focused things. Like I might be really tired, I'm really struggling, maybe a little brain foggy. And I think I worry about what kind of company am I going to be in this scenario? Like, am I going to be enjoyable to be around? And do I really need to insert myself into a situation where I just can't really contribute or, I'm not sure. Generally speaking, while I do need like my own time away and quiet and rest and all that, I do get my energy from being around people. And so a lot of times he'll just kind of remind me, you'll feel better. You'll feel more engaged if you go and see your friends.
yeah,
And
and then
you like,
I'm an extreme introvert. And so, for me to be like, you should go around people, like that means something. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
because and I know I feel better usually too, even though I tend to be like a snail and I carry my shell everywhere I go and I can just kind of like retreat into it. But I know that your battery gets charged by being around people. And oftentimes the way that you feel emotionally can affect the way that your body feels, or
Mhm,
help you
mhm.
get through tough times. So yeah, I try to be that, nudge, obviously not forcing, but
Yeah. Well, Puck, you were mentioning like noticing when Rachel is maybe at her tipping point or has just done too much and trying to help her navigate that. I think it's interesting. It made me think that the first time, only time, thankfully, so far, I've ever had to use an EpiPen, it was Denny that realized that that's what needed to happen. And because, it never happened before. And I will always err on the side of, nah, I'll be fine. Like, it's okay. It'll pass. And yeah, he was definitely the person who recognized that that needed to happen. And I mean, that's kind of invaluable, right? And from that point on, it's like, how do you trust yourself to make the right decision if you can't even tell what's happening, but someone externally can? And for a while, I was quite worried about going anywhere without him because if I can't notice what's happening to me and he can't, I, but he's very aware of what I'm going through and also extremely accommodating in the sense that if we go out to a show or we were in Austin not too long ago for like a little mini music festival and I was having a pretty intense reaction that day. Like it wasn't anything epi worthy, but I was constantly flushing. I was feeling really bad. The brain fog was terrible. I was just kind of in a bad mood, like whatever. And the always ever present, we can leave whenever we have to, that is an option. We can go. Of course, I probably stuck around longer than I should have because I don't want that to be the case. I want us to enjoy ourselves, and I want him to enjoy himself, and it was a great I ended up just taking a whole bunch of Zyrtec, and I got over it, but yeah, it's challenging, but he's always there kinda watching, and I try to do the same as well, when I notice he just needs that rest or if I can pick up some slack because I have the energy to do it that day.
I think that's another kind of helpful thing about us both being chronically ill is that we do use this like, okay, well, what if you were in my shoes right now and you were watching me really
Mhm.
struggle? Like, what would you tell me? And it's,
It does seem so much easier to be kind to others than it is to be kind to ourselves.
Always. Always. I think that's part of the internalized ableism of it a little bit. And speaking a little bit to Candace, what you mentioned about Denny pointing out things that you weren't able to see, that's something that I find that's really like has been really helpful and supportive with both Adam and Puck. Since I've been on some of the newer meds that help more, I've noticed that like I'm not having the very obvious allergic reactions I was having before. So like, I'm not maybe not beet red and sick to my stomach in like an extremely obvious,
Mhm.
unavoidably like I can't miss that. Like that's not like a cue that I'm not going to see. But there are more subtle symptoms that I get now that I think I used to like leave the space because I was having these bigger reactions before, and now I'm having more like my mood will change really like dramatically. Like I'll get really, I either get really the more frequent ones are like really anxious or really depressed. But
Mhm.
like I won't even remember that a couple hours earlier I was like giggling and laughing about something I don't know stupid probably. Sometimes I'll get really angry, and that is not, like, a thing I do very often, so, like, usually I can pick up that something has gone awry there, but when I'm feeling sad or anxious or not super out of the realm of ordinary for me, just usually not that dramatic of a shift or there's, like, a different reason for it, and Puck and Adam have been really invaluable in helping me, like, be better about noticing those cues until I can figure out, like, what the pattern looks like for myself.
we've gotten pretty good at picking up your sad puddle mode.
That's what I call it, sad puddle mode. Because there's been times where I'm like, Puck and I went to this event and we had to stay in a hotel and they did not do any of the accommodations they said they were going to. And it was really fragrant in the room. But we'd paid for the tickets and I was committed to being there for the whole weekend, regardless of how sick it was going to make me. But at one point I was like laying on the bed. I think I was crying, like slowly
Yeah.
crying. And I was referring to them going to a park. So like it wasn't like an end of the world situation, but I literally told them to go on without me.
Just
Um,
leave me.
just leave me, go on without
Leave
me. And they
me
were like,
here.
I think you really need some fresh air. And eventually, like, coaxed me outside, and I was fine 10 minutes later.
We had a
Like,
really good time at the park.
it was way better than the hotel.
Yeah, hotel accommodations can be rough for
It's
sure.
so annoying that how often do they say, "Yes,
Accommodation.
we
Yeah.
have this hypoallergenic option," or whatever, and bullshit.
It smells like somebody poured cologne on the floor somehow. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's gotten very interesting.
Well, Adam, I'm curious from your perspective. I know that you don't live with a chronic illness as well, but having been with someone from kind of diagnosis through and watching the evolution, um, how do you what do you do to pick up on those cues and to help Rachel kind of navigate those sticky points, those tricky areas?
I think for me, the only thing that I can do is make recommendations. Rachel's gonna do what Rachel's gonna do. So, you know, I I just say what I can see and leave the rest to Rachel. Um, there is I have learned over this long duration that if Rachel sets her mind to something, whether it's going to make her feel good or not, it's going to happen. So, like I said, all I can do is make my observations and then handle whatever aftermath may come of it. For me, because I don't have a chronic illness, there is an amount of negotiation, but it's, I don't have the good days and bad days that are all just kind of days to me.
Mhm.
So I do everything that I can to make things easier and better for Rachel when I'm around because I still do have a 9 to 5 job that I've got to go to. But, it's just do everything I can for her. And like I said, if Rachel's gonna do something, she's gonna do something. I'm not there to stop that. I'm there to support her in every single way that I can. And, that's a lot of the time that's handling the aftermath of whatever she wants to do.
Yeah, I
Well, I have a
appreciate you
question. I have a
bringing that
question,
up.
and then if you guys don't want to answer this, you, obviously you don't have to. Do you all cohabitate, or do you have your own places? I'm
That's
wondering
a
how that, as a caretaker or a caregiver, like, how do you are you able to like uh, share the load? You know what I mean? Like, in the day to day, or if you're like, what are the mechanics of that? I guess.
So that's a great question. I live with both of them about half the time. Adam and I own a house together outside of Philadelphia, and then Puck lives about 2 hours away on a farm in Maryland. And so I spend about half my time each week in each place, depending on scheduling and it shifts and appointments and whatnot. As we all know, doctor's appointments are not always conveniently timed or placed. And Adam also comes. He works about halfway between each place. He's got a bit of a commute, so he comes and helps out on the farm 2 nights a week. So he's there sometimes when I'm not there. Sometimes I'm there the same nights. It kind of depends on the schedule and how like the week has worked out. But that's been, I think, really great as a way to like have community and support one another in those ways. And it gives them an opportunity to gang up and tease me about various things. So that's always fun. That's like, you know,
It's the best part of polyamory.
really.
Yeah, I always, for us, obviously, Candace is really good at communicating, kind of what this disease is and helping other people, I think, understand to the extent that other people want to understand things. But I think that, the fact that y'all have this kind of network of people that are really close to you that understand your disease, maybe in a deeper way than other people do, that can really help from our side of things where you know, I'm not saying I always feel like I have to be the one and all like caregiver, but having multiple caregivers seems like that would be a benefit.
Mhm.
I think it works out really well for us both that we kind of have the approach of like it takes a village. And that's like,
Yeah.
people say that a lot of times about like raising kids, but I really think, just
That's literally
community
how humans
care, caring
evolved.
for people. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I feel like, and that's a whole tangent, but the way that are, especially with the way that capitalism is and everything like that, we are incentivized to split our tribes up and spread out when I think we all have this drive and this thing where like, oh, if I win the lottery, I'm going to buy this land and I'm going to get all the people that I love and move them close to me and
Mhm.
have this, you know, every friend that I get close to, we have that same, I think that's an innate human primate, literally a primate thing. And
That's literally what I'm trying to do. I
That's
mean,
yeah,
how the farm came about.
I
So
love that.
it's great.
Yeah. So,
You guys
but
should
having that,
come out and
I think
visit.
you guys with the situation that you have, you're really able to use that innate primal, like group, the connection to help spread the hard times as well as the good times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do feel, and we can talk about this too. Like I know we've talked about challenges and stuff, but I I'm always curious about the emotional burden of things. A lot of that falls to Denny, right? I do have a therapist. I try to save some of that for her, to like share the load a bit. But really, like, it all kind of gets put on him. And I imagine that's challenging to watch your partner go through so many different things, right? Not just the physical things, but I know at least for me, and I think it's an ongoing process, there's grief that comes with the diagnosis, the loss of the things that you thought you would do or the things that you used to do and can't anymore. And I am curious what that looks like from the other side, like navigating that with someone and holding space for that while also taking care of yourself because there's a real burnout on caregivers too when you're the constant like sponge for all of that. And so I'm curious what that looks like from well, Denny, I'll start with you from your perspective as like the emotional sponge as well.
It's a really good question. I don't know how to really answer that in an articulate way because I feel like it's different day by day.
Well, I can say, I mean, it was a bit of a leading question because I have my own sort of experience of it, right? I will say Denny is really good at just fully holding space for it and never making me feel like any of my feelings are, to use some therapy speak, like invalid or too much or whatever. And I know in other relationships, whether it's been past romantic relationships or whether it's family relationships or whatever, that's really it's kind of scary to like let someone have all of that because then people want to fix it or they want to tell you it's going to be okay or they want to tell you, like people can feel very uncomfortable with it. And at least from my perspective, Denny has been very good about not trying to tell me how to feel, not trying to make me feel differently, just reminding me that it's okay to feel this grief or to feel this frustration or to feel this anger or whatever that looks like. And he almost never takes it personally and really navigates that. But I'm curious, Denny, for you, like for your own emotional well-being while you're helping me navigate those things, how does that feel to you?
It f it feels I don't know, it's not hard for me because it's just you're someone that I care about. So, I try to I don't know, I don't feel like it takes that much effort. I don't know I think that's why it's hard to answer because it just feels like it's just what you do when you care about somebody, when you love somebody, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
they have this disease, so they are experiencing something that they have no control over. And so all you can do is kind of help try to reframe it and let them know that no matter what, you love them and you care about them. And the things that you can do to make things easier for them, you just do it. It's not something that you really should have to think about. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. It's not that the disease is easier, the situation is easy, but the things that I do to hopefully make things easier for you are easy. It's an easy choice to make. It's not even a choice. It's just something that I think, again, when you love somebody, you try to make the world better for them. So that's just all I try to do.
Well,
And
I
you make it
can't
easy
handle that
because
much
you're do what?
niceness. I can't handle that much niceness, so you
Okay.
know how this works. Don't be nice to me.
Okay. Well, you're a big jerk, and I like to be nice to big jerks. No, I just think, yeah, I don't know. You make the world better, and so I want to make the world better for you.
I love that answer, and I'd love to also ask Adam kind of the same question because I think I'm in, a more manageable spot currently, but I had a really severe flare-up for several years, like, the couple years before COVID started, and it was definitely not an easy I was definitely having a hard time, like, I was a wreck, and Adam was awesome through all of it, but I know how hard that must have been on him. Like, Adam, if you wanna share anything about how that what that experience was like for you with me having like a really severe flare up and I was constantly developing new sensitivities. My symptoms were lasting longer and they went from like, you know, something that would trigger it. Like, and once I got out of the area within a couple of hours, things would resolve and it started going to be like they would last days or like hours or days or like sometimes so long that I couldn't tell where one was ending and another one was starting. And I really for a while, my brain fog got so debilitating that, like, grocery shopping was hard. I could walk in there with a Post-it with what was on there, and I couldn't remember what to go get without, like, staring directly at the Post-it. Um, and it was a couple of years, so Adam, is there anything that you wanna share about your experience with some of the harder moments?
I mean, I don't know that there's a whole lot different. I don't know that I can add a whole lot more than what Denny said. It's like, you make the world a better place for me, so I want to make the world a better place for you. Like, whatever that takes, it doesn't really matter to me. And I mean, Denny, you mentioned being a big giant introvert before, and I'm right in that same boat. Um, but there are, for me, I don't. Yes, the emotions can be hard. I have a tendency to ignore my own emotions and focus on Rachel's. I know it's not great, but it's just the way my brain works. So my emotions mm, are uh, my emotions are there so that I can help take care of Rachel more. And I know that's not great, but again, it's just how my brain works. So I haven't. The hard times are hard. It just means that we need to adapt and we need to do more to adapt. And oftentimes that adaptation and the compromise that we come up with is something that we talk about in the moment to make sure it's working for both of us. But at the same time, we'll make an adaptation and we'll make a compromise and, we'll do the thing. And then we can kind of reevaluate later, be like, hey, did that really work for us? And then if it didn't, then we just have to adapt again. Like that's the one thing with this disease that I find I don't know how common it is with other diseases. It's just a constant be like, "Hey, did this work? Hey, what adjustments do we need to make?" It's just constantly reevaluating everything that's happening.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's so hard sometimes to know what did work. Like, what
Mhm.
thing that we did was the thing that made it better, or is it something that kinda just has resolved? Or, it's hard to it's since it's not living day to day is not it's not a scientific exercise, you know what I mean? There are no real control processes because life is messy and you just do things and then you try to, maybe I don't eat this and then I take this medication and I kinda feel better, but I kinda don't.
Yeah, there's no scientific method of, "Oh, this we're in the exact same scenario. We'll do this thing this time." Yeah, that's not how life works.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, for
joke that
sure.
it's like Mrs. White in the library with the candelabra. Like every day it's a different thing. Like maybe the next day it's a book or it's like Clue or like I mean or it's like you think A plus B equals C, but on another day it equals Y
Mhm.
or P or another letter. Like it doesn't. There's not a lot of consistency.
Mhm.
I always think about that when people are like, well, track your symptoms, and I was like, but then I got to check like the weather, what I ate that day, how I was
Yeah.
feeling, was I
I
stressed about
know.
something, did I sleep the night before? Like, I'm sorry, I can't document that many things. My
I
executive
cannot.
functioning is just not that good.
I know.
Yeah.
Everyone says that. Like, have a
Add brain
binder,
fog on
have
top.
a yeah, I'm not capable. I tell other people, "Oh, you should track your symptoms.
Yeah.
You should
You
write down what you ate that day."
yeah, you'd be better off, like, wearing a 360 camera and just using that to document every single minute of every single second of your entire life. It's like, that's impractical.
No, I agree. At least it is for me. I know some people have had really good success that way, and they're more meticulous. I mean, some people have, like, spreadsheets of the medicine they took and what the additives were, and they're, like, really breaking it down to see, like, is there a additive in this pill that maybe I'm reacting to or that's consistent? I can't. I literally can't.
Turns out I do have some limitations. I can't handle that.
No,
And plus, like, I don't have the same reactions every day. I can do the same
totally,
thing I did yesterday. I could
totally.
wake up, I could eat the same breakfast, I could wear this, I mean,
Mhm.
wash and then wear the same clothes or whatever. I could do like the exact same thing in the exact same way in the exact same order and it would have a different result.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, so it
And it's
keeps you on your
Bodies are
toes.
fucked up.
they are. Yeah, they're weird and they're
Poorly
difficult
designed.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I think we were kind of talking about the emotional burden and all of that and sort of how our caregivers navigate that part. And I'm curious, so that's a kind of accommodation, right? Taking on the emotional burden is a kind of accommodation. What other accommodations do you do personally, like as an individual, to make things work in daily life?
Puck, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I have the added benefit slash stressor of kids, and so two elementary age kids live at home with me most of the time, and it affects them as well. But I'm also chronically ill, so my kids have been raised up to like know that some people need certain accommodations. So we've gotten a lot better about COVID safety, just because who knows what a body with mastocytosis is going to do with COVID. I I definitely needed to be COVID cautious anyway, but I think I didn't have enough. Honestly, when we go back to like the self-worth of like, am I worth asking everybody to COVID test when they come over, you know? But then when it's like my partner, yeah, Rachel's worth asking everybody to COVID test, you know, when they come over and wear masks if they need to. And I COVID test frequently and because I want to protect her and myself. At this point it is also as much about protecting my own health. And that's been really something you've brought to me, you know, and I've gotten out of our relationship. But you know, anytime I go out to a place, I notice how fragrant it is and plan for like, am I gonna put my hair up or put a hat on? Which clothes am I gonna wear? I don't wear my coziest clothes out because then I have to give them up until they get washed again. You know, planning around that vacation with my partner and I want to travel. And we put a lot of effort into finding places that will be more accommodating, you know, fragrance-free rentals and stuff. And sometimes the cost is different. I mean, it costs more to be disabled. It just does. And that's not fair. And it's, you know, it's something that we work around. I think other things are, you know, I also need to be accommodating when I know that we're going to go somewhere that Rachel's going to be exposed to more things that like mostly fragrances, but also other things that are going to trigger symptoms that, you know, I get in the mindset of caregiver. Like when we leave here, Rachel might be emotional, like self-regulation is not at its peak. And I just, you know, I don't take those things personally, or we figure out other stuff that we're going to do right like afterwards to help mediate that. And luckily, you know, like I said before, we also have to do those things with me, so it's really a trade-off. But I'm trying to think of the other comment. My kids also shower when they come back from their other parents' house because it's so fragrant over there. And they're understanding about it because they love snuggling with Rachel.
They're so sweet about it.
They can't snuggle with, you know, us unless they've showered and washed their hair and whatever else.
I don't know if
Even
this
laying in
qualifies
your
as a
bed.
tangent, but like when you shower, what products do you use? Like,
Oh, as soon as we started
Talking.
talking, just not even before we even I've
Fuck
never
those
been
big when they have feelings.
I've never been one for a lot of fragrances anyway. I have asthma. I have my own sensitivities. I could never handle Febreze or things like that anyway. Um, no, I specifically search out things that say fragrance free on the bottle, preferably like right up front, so I don't have to search through all the ingredients. But I
and do you wear any kind of like
specifically
antiperspirant or anything like that? Or
I do. One time I stopped, I think on the way to your house or to our camping trip, which was our first date. So we did a big first date too, or you guys did a big second date. But I bought like 3 to 5 fragrance-free deodorants just that I could find, and was like, because I don't know which ones are gonna work.
I did not know this, for the record. That's really cute.
yeah, these are the invisible things where you're you know showing how you care for somebody is like doing the deodorant. See, we are on the hunt for the right antiperspirant because I'm pungent. I'm just gonna say it. Like
He's a
I
sneaky man.
yeah, I don't know. Well, honestly, I think part of it is the cancer, like because my left armpit smells different from my right armpit,
Yeah, it's
and
very strange how it affects
it
the
is
body.
strange. And
Well,
I think it's
lymph
related to the
nodes, right?
cancer.
Mhm,
Yeah, the
mhm.
lymph nodes. So that being said, I'm always like on the hunt for the right
Well,
antiperspirant. So
I think we've settled on one. I just need to throw out the one you can't wear because you'll forget sometimes and put it on anyway, and
I do
that's
forget.
that's
That's
he
one
does.
thing
It's
that
okay.
like, and I think that's something interesting too. In that sometimes, especially you know, for someone myself who has really severe ADHD, I can do things that are thoughtless.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, and something that if I put even one bit of thought to it, I could be like, this is not caring for her in the way that I should be. But when your brain is on autopilot that goes 5 different directions at one time, it's easy to steamroll over that and not even realize that you're doing it.
And I know this, and I just need to throw the deodorant away so he can't access it. But I can handle some scent, and I like some scent if it doesn't set me off. Mild, I can't handle anything major. So I found, like, one combo deodorant and a perspirant that I can handle. It doesn't bother me, and as long as he uses it too, we're good.
I use the Arm& Hammer one, just by the way.
And Denny, if you ever need suggestions, I have a very long list of fragrance-free products, either in my head or like in various places on my computer. So anytime, feel free to reach out.
So one of the things
I think that'd be a good resource maybe for listeners too,
Totally.
Yeah.
Especially for caregivers that don't know how to avoid some of these triggers, having a resource for them to look at would maybe be good.
That's a great idea. We can totally put one together. I have like links everywhere. They just tend to go out of, they get like the links break and I have to find a new one sometime. But
yeah.
Or the product stops getting.
They switch up something. I have one I'm planning to buy for the trip coming up where I need to be fragrance free that someone else with SM suggested to me and I'm gonna try out. But yeah.
Another thing I did was when we met shortly after that, I realized like I couldn't use the soap in any of the bathrooms. Like almost any public bathroom is going to have fragrance soap. And so I ordered dry soap tablets or dry soap sheets,
little sheets?
and then cut them into 3s and ordered 20 of these. And I started giving them out to like people that we knew that Rachel was going to be around. And I gave one to Rachel and I tried to keep them around my house because I lose things a lot. And
okay, I have to have links to these so we can share it in the show
notes.
notes.
One in my pocket.
It's amazing. No, and honestly, turns out doing adorable fragrance-free things is the exact way to my heart. But honestly, we just took those out of I think you've misplaced most of yours at this point.
I have misplaced most of mine. I have to order them again.
We have different flavors of ADHD. I can't remember anything I say, and Puck can't remember where they put literally anything.
Literally anything.
But I have been using that ever since, and it is so much better than I had like a travel squeeze bottle of like liquid soap that I was constantly worried was going to spill all over all of the most important things in medication I have.
I was like, I'll never be able to hold on to like a little bottle of liquid soap. But if I get 10 of these little boxes
You'll
and
be able
put
to find
them
one somewhere
around my bedroom, I'll put one in my pocket before I leave the house. Or I put one in each of my backpacks because I have multiple.
You go.
And then I always have fragrance-free soap that I can grab and take into the bathroom with me.
We will definitely share a link to where you can find something like that or what you use in the show notes. And like I'll put it on the blog, on the website and everything because these are great resources for people. And that's such a good idea. I never would have thought to find dry sheets of fragrance-free soaps. That's awesome.
Brilliant. And it's made my life a lot easier.
Yeah.
I used to mostly just use hand sanitizer, but I've learned that I have really bad eczema on my hands, especially in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And so hand sanitizer is so drying that that was causing more problems, not less.
And sometimes that can be really fragrant. Many hand sanitizers I can't handle.
I have to search far and wide for fragrance-free ones.
Yeah.
They were more easy to locate during like the height of COVID.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a bunch of other accommodations I know you make too. Like things, like just things that I've noted. Like if you have, Puck loves to have like sleepovers either with the kids or with other like friends that come up from out of town because when they moved to the farm, they moved further from like where a lot of their friends were, and they'll have like sleepovers in their bed. But some of them you can't have sleep in the bed because they're too fragrant. You have to like hide my pillow and our stuff. We have a collection of stuffies because I swear they make the best pillows.
I let whoever's over usually sleep on my side of the bed so that when Rachel comes back, there hasn't been somebody like who might possibly be fragrant on the other side of the bed.
Right.
We bought a whole new mattress actually because when you moved into your house, they left a lot of the furniture, and one of them was a super comfortable Tempur-Pedic king size mattress. And you were saying that that's the best any mattress has ever felt in your back, but they use so much gain in the house that we could not get rid of the smell. We tried ozoning it. There was like a cover we took off. I hand washed it. I got sick so many times trying to help like get rid of the smells in their house because a lot of the stuff was not physically accessible to you.
Chlorine too.
Oh yeah. And then and so we ended up like deciding that we just had to get a new mattress because I wasn't going to be able to sleep on it comfortably. And because gain's a really big trigger for me. I think the more I'm exposed to something and had allergic reactions to it, just the worse it gets. It took us months to figure out how to get enough of the smell out of the washer that I could wash my clothes there. So I was packing like 3 times the amount of clothes, but like we navigated it by setting up.
Yeah, we're on a farm, so there are multiple
buildings,
locations and buildings and livable spaces. And so we used a different washer and dryer for a good amount of time and just washed the kids' clothes in that dryer.
And it involved lugging all of the laundry like several hundred yards across
Oh.
the outdoors. And that's, I know it was physically challenging for Puck too. So like that was definitely a labor of love. I did it whenever I was there to help.
We recently just discovered that we needed to change our water system, and
Mm.
not a ton, but there was chlorine in the water, and it was being put in the water because I have a well system, and we're finding alternatives for that because that was irritating Rachel's skin as well. Like enough that
It was
we could
becoming
tell the
painful.
difference between when she was in Philly and when she was at the farm.
I also knew exactly when the chlorine ran out.
Mm.
And I was like, I think your chlorine ran out because I didn't have a reaction to the water. And so like trying to come up with like these big systems, and they cost money, like
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
figure out how to do laundry differently or buy a new mattress or like change the water system. Like those are not small things. And it's like, I feel so fortunate to have not only Adam and Puck, but other people in my life who are willing to like accommodate me in these ways. It feels like such a privilege, but it should be a privilege that everybody has access to.
Hey y'all, this is Candice. Thank you for listening to another 2-part episode. I just wanted to stop us here because our conversation went on for quite a while. We had lots of great things to talk about with our caregivers that we think you all will find relatable or hopeful or helpful. But we had to stop the episode somewhere, so here we are. Be on the lookout next month for the conclusion of our conversation. We're happy to be back after a break in January and can't wait to get this rolling in 2026. Bye. Thanks for listening to Mastcast. Your hosts are not medical professionals, and nothing discussed here should be taken as medical advice. Please speak to your medical provider about any issues you're experiencing or therapies you're interested in. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at podhost@mastcastpod.com.